When we've dabbled with backwards compatibility, I can say it is one of those features that is much requested, but not actually used much. That, and I was at a Gran Turismo event recently where they had PS1, 2, 3, 4 games, and the 1 and 2 games, they looked ancient. Like, why would anybody play this? And Horky saying, it gets into the argument of who owns art. Are we in a position where we can demand the opportunity to play an old game that's difficult to access legally in a modern setting? We don't have the right unless you believe they perceive it as partial ownership of art. Yeah, I guess it's the argument of, are you going to put something out into the world, and should you be able to keep that away? I mean, let's think of the game like That Dragon Cancer. You make a game about a family member dying of cancer. Maybe at one point you realize, I don't want this, is too personal, it's too private, I don't want this to be out there anymore. It is yours, you made it. Okay, so let's talk about what Jim Ryan said, who's not making himself very popular. This quote is definitely is feeling like the Xbox One dark days of, oh, you want to play offline? Get a 360, sucker. And now they've completely transformed into this underdog, consumer friendly. Hey, want to play your old games offline? And we'll upscale them for free. You guys like Bethesda? We'll give it to you, man. Whatever you like. We're the cool guys. Sony over there. Oh my God, they're so evil. Yeah, those games look ancient, but I like the way those old games look. There's an aesthetic to it, and there is an idea to it. There's it's the idea of like this being what they could do at the time, you know? Final Fantasy VII, the original. I like that they're these blocky Lego-looking characters and those pre-rendered backgrounds, because that's an art, them drawing that in. For example, let's look at Gran Turismo 1, which I remember seeing the trailer for it on my PlayStation demo disc and thinking, holy shit, does this look good? You know, I will say, I bet you the actual hours of people that want to play older games, sorry, not that want to, that actually do play them, is probably low. I bet you they've tracked that kind of stuff. But if people want to buy it, just let them buy it. There is a large part of there's a personality in a lot of video game players that what attracts them to video games, there is a collectible aspect. There's literally things in video games called collectibles. And there's different types of gamers. Some people want to be competitive. Some people want to be cooperative. Some people like to explore. Some people like to decorate their houses, right? And not every gamer wants the same thing, but I think there's definitely a large cross-section. There's a large Venn diagram where a decent percentage of gamers are collectors. I mean, just look at the background of a lot of YouTubers. You know, people love their game wall. They like to display their old consoles. It's a memory, it's a keepsake, and it's because it's a technology that's constantly evolving. It's an art and a science and a technology it means those things are kind of frozen in time, right? There's a Bloodborne demake, sure. If somebody demade Final Fantasy VII on the Super Nintendo, I'd take a look at that. I know they demade it for like Nintendo, the NES, so it's just like super kind of bland. Don't necessarily just play the game for the story. I like the original Final Fantasy VII because it uses FMV cutscenes mixed with polygonal models, and the way the camera zooms in onto the train from a cutscene into, and then you see everything kind of like settle, and now you're actually playing in a 3D environment with the 2D background. That kind of stuff is fascinating to me. It's super charming. It still is effective at conveying a mood, and it's still quite playable. I mean, Gran Turismo and car racing games are generally more about trying to be incredibly realistic. So I don't know how charming they are, but let's see. Gran Turismo trailer for PS1. This is the one that, what's his face? Well, maybe we should see some gameplay. All right, so Mr. Ryan says, fucking garbage. If you like this, you're a garbage person, and I hate your fucking guts. Oh, really, Jim Ryan? Okay, oh shit. Let's see some actual Gran Turismo 1 PS1 gameplay. No commentary. Let's have a look at that. Oh man, that actually still does look good. But I think that Jim Ryan's also missing the point that it actually doesn't matter if people do want to play it or if they just want to own it. And I think that Sony is coming from a point of, we don't want to put in a bunch of money into creating a way for you to play old games that we're not going to benefit from because we don't sell those games anymore, and now we're decommissioning the store that you could buy it on. Which is just bullshit. So, I mean, what they should do is just sell you the game and just, what do you care? I mean, unless he means that people actually don't buy them. You know. Like, Microsoft is giving up a lot because they're going, we're going to give you backwards compatibility for free and we're going to upscale the game. So they're actually taking money out of new developers' pockets that could be remastering this stuff. Hork, your point. They won't just give it up for free because they might change their mind later. Yeah. And then just sell them. Just sell the ROMs. Sell the ROMs. You don't need to do almost. You don't really need to do anything. Just do exactly what you did on the PS3. Maybe on the PS3 they realized that like the sales of those PS1 games on the PS3 weren't high, and maybe they're a bit scared because they put all this effort into the PS3 to do everything, and people just didn't use that stuff and they got their ass kicked by the 360. But I think there's a way you can be more efficient about it. Like, okay, you're backwards compatible to PS4. That probably took a lot of work, actually. And then the PS3, that's probably really difficult. But PS2 and PS1, like, come on. People have been emulating that stuff for a long time. Just, like, hire somebody who does a fantastic emulator. And get them to do it. You know, the same way Sega did it with Sonic Mania. Anyway, that still looks good, Jim Ryan. So then maybe it doesn't come down to how the game looks, but it's more of like, because when the PS3 could do PS2 games, because the PS3 was like that cell architecture, that was a serious thing. I mean, PS3 original console is like big fat fucking thing. You know, and had all those SD card slots, and there we go. Look at it. It was pretty nice looking. I liked it. The touching that with your finger. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. Still the same controller, basically. Actually, I'm really liking the DualSense. It's pretty popular. Pretty nice. You still have this giant one? I think I traded mine for a Vita. And then I have another PS3 just kind of sitting here because I think I got it at a garage sale. It's like, just hold on to this just in case. And then I had a sliding one that I still do, that I had cracked so I could run. I had this crappy looking. I don't like the look of that, and I don't like the way it feels, but probably makes sense to open and close it. This may be your last chance to buy the Persona 2 games at a reasonable price. They put a custom emulator in the PS1 Mini. Wow. All right, Lena, you're saying, how about this? $60 for a PS1 emulator, and every PS1 game costs $10. Yeah. And then, yeah. So you buy on the PlayStation Store, you buy the console. You buy a PS1 console, and it looks like it, and it has all the cool artwork and stuff, and it's got like, and then it's just this wonderful menu that plays the games, and you can like, oh, and in it it's got like a fucking shelf, and you can design, and it's, oh yeah, and you can like choose how you want to have the game boxes and stuff, and you can do like mini games inside of it, so you can unlock like Easter eggs, and you can get those like the big PlayStation 1 boxes, and it would be really simple stuff, and you could include like concept art, and you could basically advertise yourself in this game, and people would do it to unlock things like crazy. It'd be like, use this feature use whatever feature they're trying to force down your throats use the touchpad as much as possible, and we'll give you jumping flash concept art, Check this out if you want to see cool emulation. I do. Okay, so this is like, you're in a VR, and you get to choose the room, TV, cool. Super Nintendo, no controllers, that's weird. Every 10 minutes, does your mom yell at you? Whoa. Oh my god. Earth's mightiest warriors. This is cool. Yeah. So why don't you do something like this? Yeah, so you sell an emulator. It cannot cost more than Days Gone to make an emulator that plays like PS2, PS3, PS1 games. And then, yeah, and you have NetPlay, so you can play co-op. And you have a room like this, and you incorporate it with PSVR, and then you just sell the games in your store. Oh my god, that's cool. That's fucking cool. Because people will just buy to collect. And just charge it. If it costs you money to run the stuff, then just charge people. But it seems like nobody really wants to do it. Oh shit. Got a bloody Beach Boys song in here. No one's going to be able to hear this. Thanks a lot, Horky. Yeah. No, it doesn't need to be like a full 3D environment at all. Just a way to play it. But is it... I mean, okay, I haven't seen the... I don't know the numbers. And because Nintendo seems to be against it, and they've charged a pretty good premium to play their games. I mean, the games are like $5 maybe for the NES, 10 for SNES, and like 15 and 20 for N64 games. So maybe it's quite... And you can set the room on fire. Maybe it really is not in their best interests. But you know what? Even if you just break even with it, it's worth it because it's what people want. And you just sometimes are you not in the business of pleasing your customers? I think you should do that. It's pretty frustrating. I'm very frustrated that I can't play everything on my Switch. I finally get this portable system, and you should be able to play every Mario game, every Zelda game on there. And you can't. And then they try to sell you some bullshit packaged 3D Mario All-Stars that has one Mario Galaxy game. You couldn't put the other one on there? Mario Sunshine, that's been slightly upgraded, and Mario 64. And then you tell people that it's only going to be available for a short amount of time. It's crazy. Anyway, this VR game is pretty amazing. This is like having sleepovers. That's mental. It's like a sleepover simulator. I think it's just easy to do whatever they want when they're on the legal high ground. Yeah. I mean, I guess they got other things to worry about, but this just seems like something you could just put a small team on and just kind of get it done. And you could use that as a way to, just like market your brand, market your console. And just look what Microsoft's doing. They're giving it to you for free. So Sony's fan base is willing to pay. They can't make money without also getting chained down to maintaining whatever it is at an unknown cost. They're just going to sit on it. Selling the full PS1 2 games might be a legal nightmare. That's true. Well, you would have to get you just get the game developers and publishers involved, whoever owns it. And it's the same thing. You want to sell your thing on our store, right? They're incentivizing people to start pirating like that. There's no other way to get those games. Yeah. So even if you would have broken even, you would still get people buying in on it. Yeah, I guess not. Or just like I saw C-Flan was saying in the Discord, there's 1,600 PS2 games or 10,000 or however many, and only a few of them are available on PS Now or as the PS2 to PS4 translation. Yeah, sure. Licenses to music, they got to patch it out. That's true. That's very true. Like the Tony Hawk games. I don't know, for the remakes, they must have had to get a new soundtrack in there. So you got to do some work. But you don't have to bring them all back. It can just be the ones that... you know what? Well, you can just bring back the most popular ones, like you do in your... Okay, they did it when they sold a little mini PlayStation, because they could sell that device, right? Yeah, and they can't just necessarily rebuild games. So I get that. There's going to be games you can't. I wonder if they're just... Because Xbox is doing it, Microsoft is doing it as backwards compatible, and they're not selling the game, they're just giving you the ability to play a game you already own. So all the licensing is already taken care of, because you could have bought it 12 years ago. So that probably makes more sense. The PS2 to PS4 thing is also emulated. On a cracked PS4, you can play any PS2 game because the actual emulator is built into the PS4. What the fuck? That's crazy. So, yeah, that makes sense why they would do it as backwards compatibility. Right, because legally you own the license to play it. Well, it's definitely, it's making me a bit wary. I'm wary of what Sony's going to do this generation. I feel like they got cocky again. It's easy if the license is tied to a physical disc. This is definitely starting to feel like their PS3 times of going big in kind of the wrong ways. But they have time to flip it around. As long as they have good games and they fix your controllers if they drift, that's all I care about. And the games run well. All this other stuff, I think it does seem to... We're getting back to our original point of it does contribute to piracy. Because if you're going to make it really difficult for people who want to give you money to own an ability to play those old games. If I bought an Xbox, I'd probably I would probably buy a lot of older games. I would definitely buy a Morrowind and play it on there. And anytime I wanted to play it, that's where I'd play it. And I would probably just kind of absentmindedly go through the store and buy older games. Just to check them out. I'd probably buy Fusion Frenzy if they said the frame rate's increased and it looks better. I'd check it out. From what you've read, piracy is not too crazy as long as you provide an easy, legal way to purchase them. And you can't make it stupid expensive. So like the legality behind the piracy. Yeah, so Jim Ryan took over for that sort of shorter guy with the cool goatee. He was good. I don't know if he had much to do with the E3 conferences, but he spoke at them, so he probably did. They had the best E3 conferences because it was just games. He was very focused. Yeah, for sure. I don't want to download ROMs and run them on emulators because it's completely unpredictable. And you might get 40 hours and realize, oh shit, this isn't going to work. Although on the other hand, if they could just include, that's why it's like, well, just then remaster it and include a fast forward button. That's all I want. Oh my god, if they sold a full priced game on the PS5 that was $80 and it'll let you play PS1 games and include a fast forward feature and save states, I'd buy that right now. Because Xenogears, I think I'm gonna redo on a different emulator that lets me speed it up. Because I just don't have 80 hours to play that game, or however long it takes. I know it's pretty long. Yeah, so we'll see what Sony does moving forward. PS Now it obviously has way less numbers than Game Pass because Game Pass is offering such a value. Microsoft has less to give in terms of exclusives and games that they create themselves, but they're giving it away. It's kind of like when Sonic became a hit on the Sega Genesis. Sega of America just started packing it into the console. And I think Sega of Japan thought, what are you, crazy? This is the only game we have that people want to buy. You're going to give it away for free. And it totally worked. And the effects of that are felt 30 years later. People still are into Sonic. And it's probably because you bought that console, came with the game. If your parents accidentally bought you something stupid like Altered Beast or whatever, at least you had Sonic. It's called an emulator and they're still free on PC. Yeah. Well, it's but yeah, I mean, the ability to speed things up and slow them down and like save state is great, but there have been instances where when I emulated Metal Gear Solid 1, you would get to the parts that play video off the disc and the cutscenes wouldn't show. I haven't played Altered Beast. I think I just remember seeing it all the time and never playing it. Sorry, Prince. Or do you just like the muscles? So, I think you're right there, Leonard. If this person is a businessman from outside of the gaming industry, you should know a lot about whatever industry you're going into. It's not just, if it just becomes about business, you need to, it's like the video game industry. It's like owning a sports team. You can't always make every decision based around profit. It's about winning. And it's about pleasing a fan base. And it's about getting loyalty from people. And Microsoft is demonstrating that by giving some things away and creating services that don't necessarily make them a lot of money immediately or at all will contribute to your overall success. So, yeah, you don't want to be quoted saying, "Who wants to play this old junk?" Gamers do, you fucking idiot. That's not what you want to hear. Gamers want to hear Iwata talk about how he's a gamer. That's what they want. Anyways, can over marketing kill a game? Yeah, no, it's a good point, Horky. Sort of like, they revealed the name of it. Yeah, it can definitely feel like it's just too much, and you can get a bit fatigued of the game after a while. You need things to be sometimes a bit mysterious. Sometimes people's imagination is going to be a lot better than what you can show them. Especially for me, where a lot of cutscene stuff is, I just glaze over it, I think. Sort of like an Art Deco Similar to the Order. This part really looks like Final Fantasy 15. A lot of moving around, aerial combat. And then you got the God of War perspective really low and behind. Could be interesting. It's nice to see Square branch out, you know? Same engine, same devs as Final Fantasy 15. Yeah, it looks like they have possibly, I don't know, maybe some... Get them away from the intense weight of it being a Final Fantasy game. And having to spread your story over a cinematic animated movie, a feature-length animated movie, an anime, a comic, a VR fishing game, DLC. So with less, definitely with less stress to get that out and the pressure of just being a Final Fantasy game, I think could be a lot better. Square Enix makes a lot of weird decisions. I would have loved it to play a version of Outriders that was just more of what the developer of Bulletstorm wanted to do. I think they put too much pressure on them. Increase your team from 40 to 200, make it open, online, co-op all the time. It's like them trying to tick all the boxes all over the place. Feels like by the time they made this thing a big giant game, they kind of forgot all the really cool things that made Bulletstorm unique and interesting. Was that there were crazy guns and it was like very wild gameplay. Yeah, or like Final Fantasy 15, they didn't put enough story in the game, so you make a movie and all this weird stuff. Although, you know what? If a lot of game stories were just in a movie that you could watch, Lena, because you like the cutscene stuff and I could skip, that might be nice too. Optional story available in the movie. Any other games that had over-marketing kill it? No Man's Sky, definitely. Too hyped up. If that would have just come out as a dark horse, people would have hopped all over it and they would have been championing it, and I think they would have felt more like, this is my little special game, and it would have grew big time. You wouldn't have cared about all the things that weren't there. Oh, Cyberpunk absolutely destroyed by its own marketing. And making promises that it's predictable that there's going to be problems in development, especially when you're trying to develop a game that's so much more ambitious than what they did before. I mean, if you look at the growth from The Witcher 1, 2, 3, like Witcher 2 is a pretty, like Jim Ryan would not want to play it. It's so clunky. And The Witcher 3's combat was just passable, but it looked so good and it had such great writing. And it was immersive, and, the story and the world. Not that I really got immersed into it, but I could see how a lot of people would. So then they've just figured that out, and then they shoot so high with Cyberpunk. Would No Man's Sky not have been fixed if not for the hype? Well, that's the thing, is you wouldn't have had to fix anything if you would have just put the game out. If you came out and said, we're going to have this and this and this, they only came out and said all that because Sony made them a big deal. If they would have just made the game and released it, people would have been like, what's this? Oh, it's an exploration game where you can explore an entire galaxy. And it's a survival exploration game. That's what it is. Find out for yourself. Then people wouldn't have had a bar so high with all these things they needed to fix. So, yeah, it's like Apex Legends just came out. And it's huge. Huge. Because it has... There's no worries of what it doesn't have. It's just there. The gameplay and the gunplay are great. It has everything it needs. And it's at a time when Battle Royales are popular, and it's made by one of the best gunplay developers in the business. Yeah, No Man's Sky did end up getting to that bar. Is Apex still big? It's still played. I mean, that's a tough market, but they had they had what, Dr. Disrespect playing, and what's that guy, Shroud? Still remember seeing some stream of him where I think his family's visiting, and his brother came in and was like, what are you doing? And you could tell he was a bit embarrassed, like he just got caught playing. It's that body language. He goes, Pecs, baby. Again? Like he himself couldn't stay away from it, even though he probably had already been streaming it 8 hours a day, and still wanted to get back in. The game feels good. I don't really like that whole battle royale format of spending time looking through shit and putting on shields and stuff. But the game feels good. I'd rather have a Titanfall 3 with killer single player. Yeah. And actually, the multiplayer in Titanfall 2 is awesome. Super exciting. All right, I'm going to go. You've been watching this podcast discussion with myself, Lena, Prince, and Horky. Thank you for watching. There's also an audio version available on our 90s Kid podcast. Goodbye.